All right, we're going to start talking about how to build circuits physically. So before we get started with that, let's just do something that we're a little bit familiar with. Let's say we have like an Xbox. We want to connect this Xbox to our TV. Now, there's a couple of things that we need. We need the Xbox, we need the TV, we need a power strip. There's going to be connections that we need to be made. These connections, there's some type of plug, and these plugs we have to plug in. So what we can do is we can say, from the power strip, take a plug, we plug that in, and goes to the power on the Xbox. Same thing, somewhere over here on the TV, there's a plug. We plug those items in. Now, to get the Xbox to show up on the TV, we need another type of plug. We're going to use the HDMI cable. That HDMI cable, we take it, and this is directional for us on this end, where we say that the HDMI is output. We are outputting from the Xbox what needs to be shown on the screen, then coming in to the TV. On the other side, we call this the input. The arrow is coming out of the Xbox and going into the TV. So then we say this was be our input and that would be our output. Again, it is all cables that we are hooking up. Whenever we have anything that's a circuit, the circuit needs cables that are going to connect something together. Okay, the stuff that we're going to be connecting we're going to be connecting logic gates. And there's a whole bunch of logic gates that we're going to have. They're all going to have that they start off with the number 74, and then the last two numbers kind of give you an idea of what type of circuit it's going to be, what kind of gate. You're going to have a huge list of these. They'll be shown on the Canvas page, and you can also just Google 7400 logic, and you can kind of get the idea of all the different gates that are available. Important things to kind of keep in mind is all of these circuits are going to have like a little divot that's going to be used to show that this is like the top position. So we know the order of items are going to be in. The other thing to take a note of is you're going to see all of these silver items. These silver items, those are where we're going to plug cables into. Cables we're going to be used is just going to be a simple wire, but that's how we're going to plug items in. Now, if we kind of go back, this is going to be like our Xbox. This is the gate. And when we connect this gate, we're going to need power. And then we're going to have some output and we're going to have some input. All of these items, each one of these little silver items is something that we call a pin on the chip. And then this little circuit right here, this is giving us what we call the pin out, so that we know the location of each of these items. Remember I said it's important that on the chip we have this part here that tells us what is the top. Can also be through this little dot here. It's important that we know what the top always is. And on the top, going down on the left is where we start counting. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we count and then we come back up 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so it's always important that we know how it is that we're counting. Big items are going to be important is this one has them already highlighted. Is we have number 7 and number 14. Those are important because those are the ones that are going to be the power. And then all of these circuits, the list 7408 is a 2-input AND gate. And they usually say this is a quad 2-input NAND gate. Why is it going to be called a quad? Is we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 AND gates inside this one chip. On these items, remember it was important that we know what is the directions of what stuff comes in and what stuff comes out. This 13 and 12 These are our inputs. As you see, they go through and into the AND gate. We already have talked about gates. Remember we said that, one side is the input, and then the other side, like on pin number 11 coming out, this will be the output of that gate. Okay, so we talk about, here's the gate, here's the pinout, here's everything connected. We need to have these cables, these wires, plug something in. Let me give you an idea. So here's our gate. We have two switches. Here's like light switches. You won't be connecting light switches, but something that you're familiar with. Those are going to be on the down side. Let's say pointing down is a 0, pointing up is a 1 for our digital logic. And then we have a light, LED here is going to tell us, and if it's on, it's a high value. If the light is off, it's a low value. Later, I'm going to show you how to connect these items physically in here, but just so we get an idea of how stuff is connected. So what's going to be important for us is, again, think about we have some power source. This power source, we have to get power to our chip. One wire is going to have to come in and get connected and plugged in on pin 14. And then one side is going to get plugged in onto pin 7. Here they have it listed as 0 volts. Sometimes you'll see it 0 volts is always our ground. Okay, then we're going to have some inputs. Inputs for us is, let's just take this first gate. We need two inputs, a 1 and a 2. So one of them is going to get connected to one switch, and then the other one's going to get connected to the other switch. Then we have pin number 3. It's an output. We'll connect that output to this LED. And then we would have a physical connections that are being made. So like in this case, if both of the switches are low, we have a low and we have a low, 0 and it was 0 is an output of 0. Here we would have the LED be off. If we get these inputs to become a 1, 1 and 1 and together gives you a 1. We would see 1 come out here, and then we would see that LED turn on. All right, so this gives you a simple idea of how a physical circuit works. And this is part 1. Part 2, we're going to take this and we're going to expand a little bit out. And by, part 3, part 4, you'll see how we physically build everything.